one other thing. This is big. We don't suggest you get this book because it's a lot of good information, but there's some bad information in it too, because it's the book of a dictionary of angels, including fallen angels. Okay, we went into this book for study purposes only. We don't suggest people get this book because it's a lot of stuff in here that's just out of this world. But we're going in here to show you that the people that are on the left-hand side is calling on the name the Hebrews have taken as their God. Okay? I'm going to get Jehovah out of this book. Jehovah, which is synonymous with Jehovah or Yahweh. What did that say right here, brother? You just read it right here.
Jehovah, one of the many names of Metatron.
One of the many names of Metatron. What? Jehovah, which is the same as the Tetragrammaton. One of the many names of Metatron. Right? So you might ask, Metatron, that don't mean anything to me. Who's Metatron? Let's go into this book and find Metatron. What did this say, brother?
Metatron. El Shaddai.
Metatron is El Shaddai. So we need to stay away from that name too. Read it.
Reproduced from Mathers, the greater key of Solomon.
The greater key of Solomon. Because we know Solomon went off and started dealing with the same wicked gods. Who's Metatron? Here he is, brothers and sisters. Here's your Jehovah. That's Jehovah or Yahweh. All right. Now, you would think that if the Most High's name was dreadful among the heathen, why are the heathens using this name as the prominent or one of the highest gods in their worship? Okay, show the book we're going into. Codex Magica. What is Codex Magica? Codex Magica is by Tex Mars, which was a Christian, who saw fit to look into the government and the entertainment societies, along with the high politicians, and notice that and seeing that they all had one thing in common, that they followed the same God. Okay? That they would throw up the Baphomet. That these people, these influential people in the earth, received their power through Satan. Okay? Let's read what you have on page 54 when it comes to the lost name of God. Read it.
The lost name of God. The Blue Lodge Masons.
Now we know the name of the Most High is not lost. The Most High told Israel, I am that I am. Tell them I hired. So it seemed like these guys lost the Most High's name on purpose to bring forth their own God. Read.
The Blue Lodge Masons, encompassing the first 3 degrees of masonry, are instructed that they are seeking the lost word or the lost name of God. So
in masonry, they trick people into masonry at low degrees, telling them that, you know, if you stay in, we're going to give you the true name of God. Read.
It isn't until they reach the level of Royal Arch Masonry, 7th degree.
So once they get to the 7th degree, which is the York Rite, read on.
That they discover the lost name of God.
At that time, they, quote unquote, get the lost name of God. But what God? We read in Psalms, there's many gods. Read.
They discovered that the lost name of God wasn't lost after all. It's at this level that they learn the sacred name of Masonry's God. They find that the sacred name of the Masonic God is composed of 3 names.
They find out that the name of their God, the Mason's God, compiles from 3 separate names. What's that?
Representing the 3 identities of God.
What's that?
It is so sacred that the 3 Royal Arch Masons are able to speak it.
3 names.
The name Javelin has 3 syllables.
So the name Javelin had 3 3 syllables. That's the name you get once you pass the 7th degree in Masonry. Read.
Representing a composite God made up of 3 subordinate deities. The Masonic material identifies the three as Yah or Yahweh.
Hold up. One of the 3 is what? Yah or Yahweh. Hold that paper for me. Grab that. Yah or Yahweh. It's one of the 3 deities you get once you get past the 7th level of Masonry. And they put all 3 of these gods together. You got that? Read that last part again.
The name Jabbalah has 3 syllables, representing a composite made up of 3 subordinate deities.
Go ahead.
The Masonic material identifies the 3 as Yah or Yahweh, Baal, and Osiris.
Baal and Osiris. Now don't forget, we read earlier that it came a point where Baal and Yahweh became interchangeable. Read.
Logically, the name should be spelled Yah Baal. The Duncan's Masonic ritual and monitor admits that over the years the spelling has been corrupted by Freemasonry until it reached its current form. Decker correctly asserts that what these men are doing is worshiping a demon.
They're worshiping a what?
Worshiping a demon God.
They're worshiping a demon God. See, that's one of the reasons people can't let that name go. That demon have power over people, man. It's sorcery. Especially if you have the star of Moloch in there. The star of Moloch, which is a 6-pointed star, that's a vortex for spirits. So that's why these people can't let the name or these symbols go. They're under a spell. Read on.
So far removed from the real God, that the worship must surely defy the holiness of God, and guarantee those who pronounce that name in such a ceremony a swift ride to hell.
So if you do that name in their ceremonies that they actually do, in these Masonic rites, it gives you almost a guarantee, a swift ride to hell. Now in the book, we skipped over the chant because we're not into that, okay? We just follow the Most High. But at the end of their chant that they do to their God, the name at the end of the chant is Jehovah. Right there with my finger. You see that? The name at the end of the chant is Jehovah, which is synonymous to the tetragrammaton YHWH. Okay? Now I want to make this clear. So, I wasn't exempt. At one point, I called on those names until the Most High started revealing understanding through baptism, praying, coming to the Most High, and eventually He revealed the information. Okay? And it was up to us to stand with what we knew was right, and to eventually give it to the people before the deliverance. Also in the book Codex Magica, we ran into another book. Get it out of there for me if you don't mind. I think it's right here, right? We ran into a book in Codex Magica, which is called The Witch's Guide. Okay? In this book, it shows us who is the highest God worshipped in witchcraft. It so happened that while a brother was here in Philadelphia, a brother from Baltimore, he went downtown because he noticed this book was in Codex Magica, and he seen this book for almost pennies in a stack of books. He found it by mistake. He recognized it because it was a book that was highlighted or promoted in Codex Magica. So in this book, it gives us the name of the witch's god. You wouldn't take a wild guess and figure out what name the witches are worshiping. Take a guess. I need you to read Yahweh here for me. What does it say? Under Yahweh, which is the tetragrammaton. And what is Yahweh doing in the witch's god? Read that for me here. Muhammad regarded
Yahweh. Muhammad regarded the Jewish and Christian God as being Allah's will.
as being what?
Muhammad regarded the Jewish and Christian God as being Allah.
As being Allah. So, Yahweh and Allah is interchangeable. They're the same deities. That's the reason the Jewish people and the Arabs are fighting for the same territory and worshiping at the same wall. Okay? They're dealing with the same God. Because Satan has set up his temple over in Israel. When our temple was sacked in 70 AD, that's where Satan had been ruling from. Okay? So whoever controlled that area gets direct access to the fallen one. It says right here that it's interchangeable. Yahweh. Yahweh, Muhammad regarded the Jewish Christian God as being Allah. See that? Now this book, this is the book for witches. Brothers and sisters, you have to wake up. The Most High gave us His name. We really have to wake up. Now after we do this, we can throw this stuff away. I'll tell you the truth. It does us no good. We went into it because we know that the Most High say that the people that are ruling are the synagogue of Satan. They're sorcerers. They're Kabbalists. So we had to go into this information to show you who God you're really following. And it won't be the first time, Israel. We fell to these gods in the Old Testament. In this book, mind you, there's a chapter on Zeus, which is one of the Greek gods, the highest Greek god, Greeks and the Romans, right? Now, let me just show you a few pictures in here. Just so, I'm sure you don't want, it goes into Easter everything, like the real spirit the witches be in on that day, on Easter. It goes into what they really be doing on so-called Christmas. And see, this is the, see these people sitting around here butt naked in a circle. These are witches and warlocks. These are witches and warlocks here. Okay? And these witches and warlocks be dealing with this right here, the horned one. And it looks like a woman to you, don't it? No, that's a man. That's the spirit of the fallen. That's the spirit of the fallen. Okay? As you can see here, what do it say here about Athens' part when it breaks down Zeus? What does it say?
And goddesses, if you please, we've been declared redundant wherever Yahweh's in charge. What? But Yahweh has a wife himself.
Yahweh have a wife himself. Read.
What's happened to Ashtoreth?
So Ashtoreth is Yahweh's wife in mythology. Read. Which we know is Nimrod and Semiramis. Read.
What's happened to Ashtoreth? Divorce and oblivion. To be fair, I think it's the priesthood to blame more than Yahweh himself, you see. See?
It tell you that Yahweh is married to Ashtoreth. Right here. Make sure I have my finger on it. Ashtoreth is the same goddess that our people were worshiping in the Old Testament in the book of Judges before they fell. Yahweh and Baal is interchangeable. That's why the Jewish people worship the name of the tetragrammaton. That's why witches do it. Now we can put this stuff to the side. We don't need none of this stuff. We just want to go into it to show you all, brothers and sisters, that we have to examine everything we receive in captivity.